Remember your first playthrough of Factorio? Tens of hours hunting ore, building, and increasing production. The excitement of seeing the next big thing in the tech tree. If you are a certain kind of person, some of the weapon unlocks, maybe it was the tank, or the artillery, or the spidertron. But for me, it was the spidertron. The big, powerful tools made you imagine how cool it would be to fight other players with them. But then, disappointment. Learning how much effort it is to get into any sort of multiplayer in Factorio, much less PvP. And then seeing the gameplay if you do manage to get that far. The most popular PvP in Factorio is something called biter battles. The goal is to produce extra science and send it to boost the NPC alien attacks against the other team until they're destroyed. Teams are separated by impassable terrain. They can never directly interact or use player weapons on each other. So, no, you can't use the spidertron to nuke them. Biter battles matches usually last longer than an hour and can extend to 4 hours if both teams get flamethrower defense. Much of the most interesting content in the game is never reached. PvP prospects for other popular factory games are even worse. Dyson Sphere developers have no intent to ever support multiplayer, and Satisfactory only has cooperative play. But there is another game, Mindustry, which turns out is both technically and by game design the most viable factory game for multiplayer and PvP. It has sufficient netcode to handle large games with tens of players, hundreds of units, all with minimal lag. The tech tree is broad and shallow in a way that supports both multiple viable paths of development and a single session that lasts less than an hour can actually touch all of the most interesting tech in that tree. There is a simple but effective community server system where anyone can find multiplayer games easily. Even the inventory system is better suited for competitive real-time PvP. Drag and drop backpacks with hundreds of items are a mainstay of factory games, but they're terrible for PvP. They're slow, they're fiddly, they need that mouse precision over and over again that sucks. Mindustry replaces that with a simple and clean, if it's in the core, you can build with it. Best yet, the combat is mainly not weapons controlled directly by players, but by mass production of autonomous robots that fight for you. This is great because it makes lag even less relevant to the combat experience. It allows conflict to occur in real time across the entire map instead of only where players are paying attention. And it cooperates with the factory game theme that the skill is about who can mass produce the most, not who is the best at micromanaging. This is the way that Mindustry can be a unique experience when compared to conventional real-time strategy games with orders of magnitude more development resources. Despite all that potential, vanilla Mindustry is still not good for PvP. It's merely viable. The default experience is to join a community PvP server and be placed on a team with random players. Resources are pulled by team, so they will be managed poorly, and you'll have nothing to build with. There will be up to 4 or 5 half-built, non-functional Tier 5 unit factories. There is often a barrier of very strong NPC defenses separating the teams, so you can't do any actual PvP until there's been 40 minutes of development to break through. Team griefing is routine and can only be prevented with labor-intensive moderation. And eventually, someone will accuse you of doing the wrong thing and will get you vote kicked. But that's not the end of the road. There's one more aspect pushing Mindustry to the position of indisputably the best PvP factory game, It's open source. An intermediate Java programmer with some free time can create a server plugin which drastically fixes gameplay, while still being compatible with the vanilla client installed by HIO or Steam. That is exactly what several members of the Mindustry community, including myself, have done. Multiple Hex Wars servers, Sectorized, and my own server, Eviction, all provide variations of the best in genre PvP factory game experience. Most matches last between 30 minutes and an hour. Directly fighting opposing players can start as early as 10 minutes into a game. If you play greedy, the full tech tree can be accessed within 25 minutes or so. The way teams are arranged is focusing on individual and free-for-all, so you don't have to carry bad players or be crippled by incompetent players. Everyone is playing on the same server, so newer players can learn by watching veterans. Many servers have player ranking systems and leaderboards to give you something to strive for and to recognize the accomplishments of the best players. So you've probably figured out that this is basically an advertisement. I want more competitive-minded people to come try out my server. Mindustry is free if you get it from itch.io. You gotta get version 126.2 to play on my server, or it's $10 on Steam. You want to play enough campaign to get a sense for the buildings, but don't play too much because it gets old real fast, and it also rewards you for playing slowly, so it teaches you the wrong lessons. Our community is small but good quality. Plenty of veteran players will be happy to share advice or schematics or critique your gameplay. Also, my YouTube channel has some videos where you can learn about playing well and see some games recorded of the better players on the servers. So, that's how you can experience good PvP in a factory genre game. Come join us, and I look forward to seeing you in the honeycomb.